Welcome to our Roman Empire Sleep series, where we journey through the lives of ancient Rome's unsung heroes to ease you into a serene slumber. Tonight we begin with Marcus the Fuller, depicting a gentle yet structured life in Rome. Let yourself be wrapped in the soothing tales of the fuller's intricate craft, amidst the hum of a bustling workshop and the rhythmic echoes of meticulous routine. Imagine the ancient techniques and tactile sensations of materials that fill the air. Envision the age-old artistry passed through generations. As you nestle into comfort, allow the serene, methodical world of Marcus the Fuller to guide you to a deep, restful sleep. Let the calming details and rhythmic patterns slowly hypnotize you, drawing you deeper into tranquility. As candle-lit nights descend, history unfolds like a timeless tapestry, inviting you to drift into dreams wrapped in Rome's antiquity. If you find peace in ancient stories and want more such soothing experiences, please consider subscribing to our channel. Join our community and enjoy regular uploads of relaxing narratives from the annals of history, designed to lull you into restful slumber. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on future journeys across different eras and cultures, each crafted to enhance your relaxation and peaceful nights. Thank you for supporting our tranquil adventure. Tonight, we're stepping into the world of Marcus, a dedicated fuller in the Roman Empire, a master of textile care. Fullers played a crucial role in Roman society, treating garments to make them clean, soft, and vibrant. With a careful combination of skills and natural materials, this transformative craft added beauty and utility to everyday clothes. As we explore Marcus's day, listen closely to the hum of his workshop and imagine the textures and scents that fill the air. Let's discover how ancient practices fostered a life of rhythmic peace and steady accomplishment, where each movement carried the wisdom of countless generations. By understanding his methodical world of dedication and skill, find your own soothing lull in the timeless rhythms of honest labor and craftsmanship. The darkness still clings to my chamber as consciousness seeps back into my bones. I lie in the embrace of night, the blankets gone warm from my own slumbering heat, reluctant to abandon this cocoon. The weight of morning presses against my eyelids, attempting to pull them open to greet the first whispers of dawn. Yet I resist. There is solace in these moments, suspended between the realm of dreams and the encroaching demands of daybreak. My thoughts drift lazily, still cushioned by the downy haze of sleep. I become aware of each quiet breath, the gentle rise and fall, like the waves at Ostia on a calm day. The air is tinged with the coolness of night, yet to be chased away by the sun's arrival, its bite sharp enough to remind me of the autumn settling in. In this twilight before dawn, I savor the nameless sounds of the insula. Above me, a pair of pigeons coo softly, their song a familiar refrain I've learned to draw comfort from over the years. Somewhere, distantly, an early bird heralds the sunrise with its song, Every note feels like a caress, urging my senses to awaken gently, tenderly. Yet I linger. I remain still as these thoughts weave their way through me. Though the tasks may seem mundane, there is a peace in the craft, almost a devotion to the art of renewal. And so I remind myself that each day is another dance with these relics of civilization, watching over their transformation. But just for now, I relish the heaviness of my limbs, the stillness of my surroundings. Sleep has vanished like the morning mist, and yet I cling to its final shreds, drawing them around me like a cloak. The anticipation of routine rises slowly within, like the warmth of a distant fire not yet stirring the cold of night away. Moments stretch and yawn, expand and contract, and I let them wash over me like the warm lagers of the baths. Each inhale is a silent pact with morning, each exhale a release, a farewell to the peace of night. My senses gently awaken, the distant rustle, the murmurs seeping through the thin walls, reminders of lives starting their symphony once more alongside mine. In this solemn reverie, at last I surrender to the day. I open my eyes reluctantly to meet it and everything it holds. And so the cycle begins anew. My eyes barely open, surrendering to the dim embrace of morning. I lie still, cocooned in the slow emergence from sleep's grip. My back conforms to the uneven surface of the straw mattress, each bump an old acquaintance. This bed, more a humble collection of straws than a true haven, greets me each dawn with its familiar imperfections. The texture, coarse and grounding, reminds me of the earthiness of my days. Beneath the thin woven blanket, the air is stale yet comforting, warmed by the heat of my resting body. The blanket weighs down upon me, a constant, reassuring presence. Its rough weave, like an abrasive embrace, shielding me from the chill. I run the heel of one foot against the other, the fibers of the blanket scratching against my skin, a sensation that anchors me deeper into waking. My left shoulder, bears the memory of yesterday's labor, a dull ache seated deep in the muscle, a reminder of the garments beaten clean upon the stones. Each motion echoes the rhythm of my work, a testament to the ceaseless cycle that weaves its way through my flesh. I shift slightly, the straw rustling beneath me, rearranging itself beneath the weight of my bones. It whispers the tales of restless nights and enduring commitment. My right leg is slightly bent, knee pointing toward the ceiling of our modest dwelling. I always wake in this half-curled position, as if my body protects itself from the wear it endures in the waking world. The muscles in my thigh are tight, as if retaining the tension from standing hours upon hours in sun-baked linen, knee-deep in water and suds. I breathe deeply, and the weight of the air presses gently against my chest, coaxing me to fuller consciousness. My hands rest lightly upon my abdomen, fingers curled slightly inward, the calluses from work evident even in their repose. The skin is dry, both from the elements and the lye that ensures our clothes and linens shine brighter than any lumens. I flex them slightly, feeling the pop and crack of weary knuckles, a symphony of labor's legacy. I swallow, feeling the dry rasp of morning throat, accompanied by an urgent reminder of thirst, and am aware of the slight tang of sleep lingering at the edges of my mouth. My tongue sweeps across parched lips, and I blink again, allowing my sight to adjust to the dull, familiar grey of the waking hour. Every sensation is a small story woven into the tapestry of my day. The pressure against my flesh, the rough embrace of my simple covering, the aching symphony of muscles that recall yesterdays and foreshadow the morrows. I lay a moment longer, immersed in these familiar sensations, allowing the awareness to seep into my bones before the day inevitably claims my energy and focus. For now I float upon this sea of straw, savoring its grounding touch upon my journey from night to day. Floating upon the sea of straw, each sigh a whisper beneath the gentle weight of morning's embrace. The clay walls around me, familiar, hold the night's echoes as I lay in silence, a stillness before the day's tide rolls in. Today shall mirror yesterday, and in this constancy I find both solace and burden. The rhythm of my life, predictable as the turning wheel, calls me to its labors. I drift between the thoughts of yesterday's scents, sharp lye mingling with faint remnants of lavender, and those that await me anew. The sun, not yet risen beyond the threshold, nudges me with the promise of its pale light, its warmth yet a memory, but its pull undeniable. Ah, the cloth from Senator Gaius, soft, refined, demanding a mastery that both challenges and elevates my craft. It waits in the corner, draped over an unused stool, its need for cleansing a tether that gently tugs at my conscience. The senator expects perfection, and each strand's impurity calls for exacting care. His imperious visage looms behind the cloth's delicate weave, a silent overseer. Beside it, thrown with less ceremony, the tunics from the tavern keeper, stained with wine and the sweat of nights long lost to laughter. Theirs is the wear of simpler lives, unpretentious, but laden with the stories of nights drowned in brimming cups. Each tunic bears the memory of liquid joy and the weight of a heavy purse, either spent or left to prosper. Their tones echo distant chants of camaraderie within the rinsing vat, a temporary uproar of their own. I feel the familiarity of these tasks settle into my bones like an old friend's arm around my shoulder. There is peace in knowing what awaits, a reprieve from the unpredictable whims that fortune offers. In this predictability there is a gentle surrender. I imagine the shift of the heavy wooden beam along my shoulders as I tread anew upon the familiar path to the water trough. Feel the rough linen pressing against my palms as it submits to cleansing hands. The sun's promise begins to edge its way into the room as I map my day, tracing it with the certainty of one who no longer needs to stumble. I shall begin with the senator's cloth, its requirement for finesse a fitting challenge for the first light. Then the tavern-keeper's tunics, a respite of familiarity midway through the labor. There will be pauses, I am sure, for the mending of frayed edges and the cleansing of particularly obstinate stains. each woven with the stories not mine to tell, but entrusted in fleeting moments. I resign myself to these tasks with acceptance. Each is a story I help preserve, leaving my own fingerprints upon the fabric of their lives. So shall it be today, as it was yesterday, and as tomorrow promises to be. As my eyes lift to the ceiling one last time, I let the day settle gently upon my shoulders, ready, peaceful. The day settles on my shoulders like a cloak sewn of expectation and routine. The sounds of Rome waking begin to weave their tapestry around me. Threads of life filling the quiet corners of my room where night still lingers. My neighbor Antonius is already hammering at his cart. The rhythmic thuds are faint yet persistent, a distant echo of the labor which soon awaits me. Each strike spreads the scent of morning's duty, mingling with the soft scent of olive trees and dust. A rooster crows several streets over, its call sharp and clear against the hazy veil of dawn, reminding every soul with ears that darkness is being pushed away. Beyond the walls of my humble abode, the low moan of a cartwheel creaks its way down the cobblestone street, carrying the weight of fresh produce bound for the market. I can almost feel the stones reverberate through the thin walls as the noise draws nearer, then fades. A temple bell rings softly, nearly drowned amidst the growing symphony. That serene chime travels on the gentle breeze, slipping in through the shutters like a whispered prayer. Its sound moves me. It whispers of sacred hours yet lived, evoking a pull towards both my duties and the celestial. I hear the bleating of goats, their voices early and insistent, likely the flock tended by young Lucius, the shepherd boy. His mother's scolding voice follows, urging him to keep watch lest he lose one amid the bustling alleys of the awakening city. Even at distance, her voice carries warmth and authority, a touchstone of my own childhood memories, evoking fondness wrapped in nostalgia. Yet here I remain, wrapped not in a blanket, but in time itself, in my moment of stillness before day's demands encroach fully. I cannot linger much longer in this transient limbo. My own voice, silent yet present, urges me towards the inevitability of movement. I let the sounds wash over me, every sound a call to rise, to join the living day. I breathe deeply, trying to stretch the fragile instant of calm as far as it will allow. I count to 10, each number a bead in the rosary of my routine, a countdown bringing me closer to action. 1. Pause. 2. Pause. Each number, each breath, quieting my reluctance. Finally, at 10, I sit up slowly, feeling the weight shift from my shoulders as I rise to sitting. The rush of air stirs the fabric around me, a gentle reminder of life outside and within. My feet find the cold floor, shocking, grounding, a sensation that propels me into the present. There's a momentary reluctance to fully commit to upright, but the solidity beneath me counters it. I stand, letting the last remnants of dreams slide away. My limbs remember the motions of the day. My bones settle under the familiar burden. I am Marcus, a fuller, ready for the day's toil, as Rome resumes its eternal rhythm around me. The chill of the early morning weighs heavily in my chambers, a presence as old and familiar as the worn stone beneath my feet. I stand, a solitary figure, wrapped in the quiet womb of darkness, allowing the lingering slumber to slowly slough away. My breath forms small, ephemeral clouds, vanishing into the stillness. My hand extends, fingers outstretched, to meet the cool sensation of the rough-hewn wall, tracing its ancient lines with the precision of an old friend's embrace. Year after year, this dance remains unchanged, and my muscles respond to the call with the assurance of decades of habit. Step by step, I navigate through the shadows, each stride confident despite the absence of light. My body knows this path as well as I know the lines on my own time-worn hands. I find the clay basin, its edge cool under my fingertips, its form perfect in its imperfections, and place it gently on the rough wooden table, a simple altar to daily ablutions. Nearby sprawls the jug, rotund and steadfast, cradling the morning's nectar of cold water within its earthen belly. My fingers, keened by habit and sightless wanderings, close around its handle. The momentary jolt of its chill against my skin sends a shiver cascading along my spine. I lift it with a practiced grace that hints at the comforting monotony of 20 years' ritual. In the hushed prelude of the dawn, as I pour, the water's melody is a delicate sonnet to the silence. Each drop's descent echoes softly against the basin's base, weaving a tapestry of sound that binds me to this solitary moment. As the flow ceases, I pause, savoring the precious tranquility of the now disrupted quiet. The water, an indulgent sear against the bare flesh of my hands, whispers tales of the distant mountain streams from whence it came. I gather a handful, a small pool of icy clarity, and bring it to my face. The sensation is a lover's caress, sharp and invigorating, scouring away the last vestiges of sleep. The simplicity of this act, the communion with water, is a touchstone among the mundane relics of my daily life. This gathering of darkness and light, of stillness and motion, anchors me as the coming day stands poised to sweep me along its unpredictable tide. It is here, amidst these small rituals, that I find harmony, a moment where chaos holds no sway, and the world narrows to the embrace of cold against warm skin, to the rhythm of breath resounding in the still air. As I dry my face with the coarse linen cloth, the room's darkness gently softens, yielding imperceptibly to the first hints of dawn's tentative glow. Each day begins anew, yet always the same. In this predictable cadence, I am both tethered and freed, a humble participant in the eternal dance of life and light. The clay basin now emptied, I set it back, a sentinel to the completed rite, and turn to greet the gathering day, renewed and unswervingly bound to its unfolding mysteries. I turn to greet the gathering day, its light seeping softly through the cracks of my small world, wrapping me in its gentle embrace. The air is crisp, tinged with the promise of warmth, but the morning shadows still cling coolly to the stone walls around me. I cup my hands, fingers rigid against the chill, sinking them into the basin of water I keep on the smooth wooden table beside my bed. With an exhale, the first splash meets my face, sharp as the centurion's whip. The water is glacial, cascading down my cheeks and neck in rivulets that trail like icy scribes, marking the passage of night shedding into day. Each splash renews the surprise, the unmistakable thrill shooting like electric pulses across my skin. Yet it invigorates me, chasing away the remnants of sleep's tender grasp. Methodically, I continue, the rhythm of my cleansing, as steady and ancient as the Tiber. Again, the water greets my face, a fresh wave of clarity ensconcing my senses in brightness. It travels with gentle insistence down my neck, tracing the path between vertebrae, till it pulls away, droplets slipping past clavicles to mingle with linen. I take a moment to breathe, feeling my body respond to the cold caress. The tightness in my chest eases, the inhale deeper now, more purposeful. My hands move next to my neck, fingers spreading water beneath my jaw, where stubbled skin bristles at the contrast. I relish in this task, the repetition soothing like a prayer, washing away yesterday's dust. The tactile cleanse is both ritual and fortification, setting my thoughts to right. Pausing momentarily to splash again, the water's starkness renews its embrace, invigorating me. The chill seeps under my ears, swirling into the hollows there, formidable yet refreshing. I lean forward, allowing the water to chart its path down over my collarbone. Each motion is deliberate, scrubbing gently behind the ears, where the day's worries tend to settle, leaving small burdens. More splashes fall, and the world inside me is washed new, the cleansing a baptism into the promises of the dawn. I shift my attentions to my arms, extending them for the ritual next. Forearms bare, I dip palms and rub them firm, invigorating the flesh up to elbows where muscles strain beneath the skin. Time bends, the act pulling me into an oasis of calm, where the cycle of work is not a grind but a preparation. With each movement an awareness unfurls, the water a purifying force that awakens not only flesh but spirit. I feel the gradual stirring of my senses, sounds sharper, the scent of the barley cakes warming on the hearth more enticing. My breath steadies, my heart sinks with its beat, both a little quicker, fully alive now, primed for the day's labor. Each droplet spent is a promise whispered, a new beginning amidst the routines of life. As I conclude my water ritual, the cool droplets echoing their final patter onto the stone floor, I turn my attention to the small shelf where I keep my hygiene tools, each object placed with care and familiarity. With practiced fingers, I reach for the rough cloth, its texture a comforting contrast to the smoothness of the polished basin nearby. This cloth, worn and softened by use, holds a whisper of history. Carefully, I sprinkle a pinch of prepared salt mixed with crushed herbs. The mixture is fragrant with hints of mint and sage, grounding me in the present as I settle into my routine. Gently, I work the cloth along my teeth, feeling the grainy salt doing its work. The taste is bracing, sharp and slightly bitter, but somehow invigorating. It dances on my tongue as the herbs lend a quiet, earthy sweetness. I'm mindful of the pressure, letting the cloth do its work without haste, savoring the sensation of clean. I pause to scrape my tongue, careful to remove the unseen remnants of the night before. The wooden tool is smooth, yet firm, contributing to the ceremony of this daily act, taking with it any lingering trace of past meals and words unspoken. Finally, I rinse my mouth thoroughly, swishing cool, clean water around until the salt is but a memory of an ocean long forgotten. The feeling of purity follows, a satisfying exhale of relief and readiness for what lies ahead. Turning my attention upwards, I trail damp fingers through my tangled hair, feeling the knots give way to gentle persistence. Each strand is unruly, set loose by the tosses and turns of sleep. I can feel the droplets working their way through, coaxing the tangles and soothing the chaos. The wooden comb is next, its smooth teeth eagerly aligning with my fingers' earlier paths. With deliberate strokes, I tame the morning wildness, relishing the slight scratch against my scalp, a soothing, rhythmic song of order returning to a sleepy head. My hair, still possessing a mind of its own, requires something more, a touch of olive oil, golden and warming against the skin. It offers vitality, adding a subtle sheen that glistens in the early light. I pour a tiny amount into my palm and work it into my hair with intent and care. The oil's richness absorbs quickly, leaving only a faint silhouette of its presence and the scent of olives lingering like a comforting embrace. Here, with each practiced movement, I find peace in the mundane, a reminder of the simple acts that anchor me. The lingering scent of mint on my breath, the last hints of olive oil in my hair, speak to a quiet sense of readiness. Today is but a continuation of yesterday's preparation and tomorrow's promise. I stand a moment longer, embracing the stillness before the day spills over me like water cascading anew. I take the rough towel, a well-worn, reliable friend, between my fingers. Its texture is familiar, comforting. I begin with my hair, gently scrubbing, feeling the fabric glide over the lingering oil. The fibers work diligently to absorb the dampness, revealing the clean skin underneath. Slowly, the towel moves to my face, a deliberate patting that brings a sensation of renewal. The skin beneath feels refreshed, vibrating with aliveness as the towel whispers over it. This towel has been with me for years. Its faded blue pattern, though now somewhat indistinct, is woven into my personal history. With meticulous care, I fold the towel neatly, setting it aside. My space is now a testament to completion, a canvas washed and dried clean for the day's commencement. I move next to empty the basin. The water swirls away, taking with it any remnants of sleep and oil. Finally, I adjust the edges of my sleeping tunic. Its fabric is cool against my skin, freshly released from the previous night's embrace. I straighten my posture, letting the tunic drape naturally. Tomorrow's ritual will wait, but today begins. Standing grounded in this moment, I find a consolation in this morning's well-worn repetitiveness, a gentle reminder that some parts of life do indeed remain constant. If this gentle story is helping you relax, please subscribe for more ancient tales. Share this peaceful journey with others who need rest. And let us know in the comments which historical period you'd like to explore next. Your support helps us create more soothing stories from the past. The dawn's light was still struggling to break through the narrow lattice windows casting a gentle bluish haze over my humble abode. As I stepped away from the stone basin, the lingering coolness of the rinse clung to my skin, a familiar shiver riding my spine. With practiced ease, I squinted through the semi-darkness, instinct guiding my movements more than sight itself. The scent of damp wool and ancient wood filled the small chamber where my clothes awaited. It was a comforting fragrance, steeped with the memory of countless mornings. My hand, outstretched, brushed along the well-trodden path, fingertips grazing worn surfaces like old friends. I knew every corner and crevice, each whispering stories from years past. The wooden chest stood in its rightful place, aged and stout. It seemed to sag modestly under the weight of its years, just as I did every morning as I rose. I knelt beside it, running fingers along its grooved top, until I reached the peg above, a simple thing, yet the focus of my early ritual. It held my tunic with steadfast loyalty. The fabric greeted my hands with the warmth of familiarity. Woven of thick, robust wool, it carried the weight of labor, but softened over time, like the hardened heart of a warrior who'd learned the gentleness of peace. There, in the weave, the labor of yesterday clung, a dusting of powdery lime and the ghost of chalk from the fuller's reworkings. Still bending near the chest, I held the tunic close, fingers playing over its surface to ensure it was the proper one. The sleeves were slightly frayed, the hem weighed with work's memory. It was mine, a whisper in the morning's hush. As I slipped the tunic over my head, the wool itched against my damp skin before settling, an embrace that signaled the start of the day's checkpoint. I cinched the belt with a familiar pull, the motion seared into the muscles of my arms. The practice of getting dressed felt like a sacred rite, an interaction steeped in time, a binding of past and present. The tunic bore the scars of years, patches where thread had been woven anew, a testament to persistence much like my own. Its imperfections mirrored the journey I lived, each stitch a note in a melody that played softly in the space where thoughts drifted before dawn's full appearance. In those precious moments, draped in wool and welcomed by morning's fragile grasp, I felt the continuum of continuity that clothed my routine. It spoke of order in the chaos of life, a simple grace, as steadfast and enduring as I hoped to be. With my attire secured, the air grew a shade lighter. The space around whispered promises of dawn's eventual break. And thus, amid the sounds of slumbering Rome, I stood, a fuller, cloaked in threads of yesterday, ready to greet today's labors with mud-laden hands and resolute heart. The tunic slips over my shoulders, its fabric whispering softly with a comforting familiarity. I adjust it carefully, ensuring that the seams settle correctly against my skin. The sensation is always reassuring, like the embrace of an old friend. The tunic has aged with me, each patch and mended seam a testament to days past. As I smooth the fabric down, my fingers trace over a long stitch near the hem, a reminder of the evening when I snagged it on a branch while racing home before a storm. There's another repair, high up on the shoulder, a patch of slightly darker material where the fabric had worn thin from years of wear. I remember sitting beside my mother, her hands deftly working needle and thread, while she told me stories of our ancestors, of their trials and their hopes. The stories seemed woven into the very fabric of my tunic, invisible yet ever present. I lift the leather belt from its place and feel the reassuring weight of it in my hand, the leather supple yet strong. Well worn from countless days, it bears the imprint of my touch in its texture. There's a particular notch, the third one, where the leather is darkened and smooth, polished by habit. I fasten it around my waist, the leather settling easily against my hips, a final touch that seems to ground me. Once the belt is secure, I take a moment to slide my fingers along its edge, feeling the minor imperfections that make it uniquely mine. Each mark a story, the time it caught in a door, the day I stumbled and fell on a stone path. These stories are as much a part of me as the memories woven into my tunic. I let my hands fall to my sides, exhaling slowly. Now for my sandals. Now for my sandals. I glance around, spotting them nestled under the chair where I'd carelessly kicked them off the night before. I step across the room, relishing the cool contact of the floor beneath my feet. It's a simple pleasure, one I often overlook, a moment of connection with the world. The sandals, too, are a repository of memories. I slip my feet into them, feeling the familiar rise of the worn soles, their leather molded over time to the shape of my foot. The laces loop around my ankles with ease, almost as if they remember the task better than I do. I tie them securely, testing the sense of readiness they bring. Dressed now, the layers of fabric and leather wrap me in their stories, their memories. Every piece is both ordinary and sacred in a way, touchstones of my life. As I take a last moment to look around, ensuring all is in place, my mind settles into a quiet clarity, ready to meet the day. With my sandals finally secured, I stand for a moment longer, feeling the gentle weight of memories and anticipation, both a cloak and a guide as I prepare to step out. The sandals wait patiently on the floor, a well-worn friend ready for another day in the streets of Rome. I bend down, and the scent of leather rises, earthy and reassuring. My fingers find the cool, familiar texture of the straps. Each strip of leather was once raw and unyielding, but time has softened them, molded them to fit just so. I slide my foot in, feeling the sole, molded by countless steps, press against the arch. The sensation grounds me, a whisper of the resilient roads I am about to tread once more. The straps weave between my fingers with practiced ease, a slow wrap around my ankle, binding snugly but never too tight. It's a rhythm my hands know well, a dance of leather and skin. One loop over, then under, snug against the bones just beneath my calf. The familiar knots follow, a twist here, a pull there, just enough to hold firm, yet always ready to give when needed. They mirror the lines of Rome's cityscape, defined yet pliant. Each strand wrapped around brings with it memories of countless days spent navigating the cobblestones and ancient relics. There were cool dawns and sweltering afternoons, and these sandals have borne them all. 1,000 steps, 1,000 paths, always returning me home. Today is just another step in that endless journey. I adjust the last loop, a slight tug, and it sits perfectly. The leather hugs my foot with the familiarity of a departing lover, reminding me of the comfort of returning. I straighten, letting my eyes fall on the belt. It's weighty with its collection of pouches, each one a vessel of necessity. I see to them as I've done for years, flipping the small leather flaps open and closed, ensuring every item remains within arm's reach. The belt's embrace around my waist anchors me, centering my thoughts. Absently, my fingers trace it one last time, a habitual reassurance that all is right, secure, and ready. Within each pouch lies an assortment of essentials, a bundle of scrolls here, a pouch of coins there. Each one has its place, its purpose, like the roles of those who walk the city with me. I give each pouch a light press, feeling the reassuring weight of its contents. It's a quiet symphony, the subtle harmony of preparedness. This ritual, these small gestures, I have repeated them more times than I can count. With each repetition, throughout the years, there's a sense of peace that comes from knowing exactly how everything fits together, both the tangible and the unseen. As I step back into the day, the city awaits just beyond my door. The stone paths feel like home beneath sandals bound by leather. My journey begins anew, wrapped in familiarity. Today, like so many others, I embrace the embrace of the road ahead. I step back into the quiet confines of my home after drawing open the door, the daylight gently illuminating the stone walls around me. The morning air, still fresh from the dawn, lingers in the room. My stomach rumbles in gentle protest, reminding me of the morning ritual I have yet to fulfill. It's a humble routine, but one as familiar to me as the dye on my hands. I walk over to the wooden shelf, fingers brushing against its aged surface. There on the corner sits yesterday's bread, a compact and unyielding remnant. I pick it up, feel its rough exterior beneath my fingers, as firm as a guard's grip. The bread, stale yet sustaining, is slightly heavier than it was yesterday, having absorbed the room's silence overnight. I inhale its scent, a faint reminder of baked warmth now faded, and gently tap it on the table, its solid response echoing in the small space. Not quite like a pebble, yet not far from it. This simple loaf, a constant companion, sustains me through laborious days amidst the suds and dye vats. I move to the corner where a clay jug of water rests. The surface is cool under my palm. I pour a little into a shallow bowl, its droplets scattering with a quiet rhythm. With practiced ease, I dip the bread into the water, watching it soak and soften slowly at its edges, an alchemy of texture returning some life to the hardened crust. The transformation is subtle, and my own small victory in this morning's ceremony. Lifting the bread to my mouth, the outer layer is now soft enough to yield under my teeth. It tastes familiar, bland yet comforting, the slight sweetness of wheat emerging between the bites of softened crust. There is, in this simple fare, a testimony to patience and of acceptance of what cannot be altered. Even as a fuller, surrounded by change, this stubborn piece of bread remains a reflection of Roman life, unchanged through years. I alternate between bites, soaking and sipping from the same bowl, the process meditative and grounding. Occasionally, when fortune favors me or friends visit with a gift, a splash of wine might replace the water, offering a touch of indulgence to the morning ritual. Not today, though. Just the simplicity of water and bread, the essence of sustenance. With the last morsel consumed, I set the bowl aside and brush the crumbs from my tunic. The morning sun, now higher in the sky, casts longer shadows. Another day awaits. The world outside calls with the demands of laundry and labor. Yet for a moment longer I linger, savoring the quiet, the calm before stepping back into my fuller's world. This ritual, this morning meal, simple and steadfast, it roots me, prepares me, reminds me that even in life's relentless surge, some things remain constant as the scent of wool and the rhythm of my days. The gentle crackle of the bread gives way to quiet contemplation as I nibble at its edges. The sun edges tentatively past the rooftops, casting long shadows that creep across the table. I glance around the dimly lit space to find something more, perhaps a small piece of cheese. That wedge from yesterday must still be here somewhere. Its sharpness will complement the bread, as simple as it is. Ah, there it is, tucked behind the bowl. I savor a crumbly piece, letting the tanginess meld with the rustic texture in my mouth. I can almost feel the rich flavor spreading warmth through my body. It's not much, but every bite tells a story of land and time, of the earth from which it came. Now for the wine. I reach for the jug and pour sweet red into my cup, just enough to stain the water. Posca might seem modest, an ordinary drink, but there's comfort in its routine. The splash of wine colors the clear water, swirling into a diluted blush. I lift it to my lips, the slight tartness cutting through the dry bread, rendering each bite a little more forgiving, a little more than necessity. As I sip, the cool liquid rolls over my tongue, tempering the parched remnants of crust that linger there. With each swallow, it feels as if the day itself becomes more welcoming, the promise of the hours ahead more manageable. In moments like these, the simplicity of life feels profound. The humble ingredients of my breakfast, bread, cheese, wine, water, sustain my laborer's frame, fueling the toil to come. They ground me in the constant rhythm of days and let me think ahead. What tasks await me? The day stretches out, a mosaic of work and effort. Would that the stones I lay tell future tales. Would that they be the history someone recalls in time. Each moment, every action, a step in a dance as old as these hills. I take another bite, letting thoughts of tomorrow sift through my mind like sand, sifting, shifting, but never truly settling yet. The mystery of what lies ahead blends with the present into something comforting, like this breakfast. Here is peace in ritual, an unyielding simplicity that turns the ordinary to extraordinary, one mouthful at a time. Finally, I look up, the sun warming my space even more. Its rays dance across my fingertips, wrapped around the earthen cup, a familiar reprieve. A long day waits for no man, but I've embraced its inevitability. There's solace in this thought, In predictable rhythms I find freedom, in the mundane, meaning. My last sip of posset is a promise to greet the world anew, to meet its challenges with open hands and a full heart. A deep breath, a momentary rest. Time to close this pause of dawn and turn outward, onward, to whatever lies beyond today, fueled by bread and dreams. The act of eating has always had a mechanical rhythm. I tear off a piece of bread, my fingers familiar with the texture, the slight resistance of the crust breaking under pressure. Chewing slowly, each motion is deliberate, unhurried. The bread is stale but not unpleasant, softened in the warmth of my mouth. Unconscious motions repeated day in and day out. As I chew, my thoughts slide from one to the other, like shadows cast upon the wall. Today, customers will bring cloth to my shop. Fabrics will come in all shades and textures, some gaudy and bright, others humble, their colours dulled by the wear of years. There's a senator's toga, crisp, demanding pristine whiteness, an elegance I've grown indifferent to. The merchant's tunics, weary from constant travel, require gentle hands. I picture the hands of those who wear them, different lives intersecting with mine through the mundane work of cleaning. The repetition is a kind of freedom, an odd comfort. Here in the solitude of my morning meal, I prepare for the motions of washing, beating, rinsing, tasks etched into my bones like a tune I cannot forget. My mind simmers like the cauldrons of water, focused yet wandering, braced for the day. I am yet to hear of someone finding surprise in the daily labour of a fuller, whose work knows novelty but bears necessity. Cloth comes filthy, I make it clean. This is the way of things, a song old as the stones under Rome itself. As long as there are senators and merchants, there will be fullers. We are all caught spinning in this web of toil, lives stitched together by the commerce of cloth and bread. The mind eases into these thoughts, both grounding and distant, like watching the sky through a narrow window. Chewing this bread is my meditation, the intervals of silence my companion. I imagine the tactility of wet fabric in my hands, the faint, consistent dance of water and lye, the moist heat that swells the air around me, beads of sweat tracing familiar paths down my back. This will be a day like any other, predictable, the hours marked by the cyclical nature of my trade. There's an endurance in routine, a resilience grown like a sturdy vine around me, intertwining determination with resignation. But today, as the bread dwindles, as the last crumbs linger in my mouth, the taste is fleeting. I am reminded not just of the labour, but of the fortitude that comes from repetition. Such understanding, that rare contentment, is worth savouring as much as any meal. With the last swallow I rise. The day awaits, and I step into it, fueled by bread and dreams. As the door closes behind me, I walk into the task awaiting, the endless rounds of work that bind not just the cloth that touches my hands, but the fabric of my very existence. The morning air greeted me as I stepped onto the cobblestones outside my home, the familiar weight of my sandals pressing against the century-old stone. There was a silent greeting between us, the street and I, a recognition born of countless journeys made under both the merciless sun and the gentle caress of dawn. Each cobblestone memorized my stride, as I too had memorized them. Every variation in height, every smooth surface, rehearsed 1,000 times beneath my feet. My footsteps set a gentle rhythm, soft, steady, against the brightening city of Rome as it stretched out before me. The slabs were still cool with the receding night, an ancient concourse occasionally interrupted by the warmth where torch-bearers had wandered past. The temperature changed beneath my sandals, from warmth to cooler pockets, echoing the flicker of dreams not yet fully dispersed by the waking world. I descended the gentle slope that led away from my doorstep, each footfall a word in a dialogue I shared with the path, the barely perceptible dip here, where a deeper groove cradled my heel, and the slight raised lip there, teasing the soul with textured familiarity. Such things were a chorus, as predictable and reassuring in their small surprises as the sun's ascent. As I walked, I could sense the emerging life of the city stirring around the edges of stillness. Vendors nursing the first whispers of their daily trade, the murmur of voices rising from homes like tendrils of smoke. My thoughts wandered, as they often did, to how each street was built from layers of foundations laid down by generations, and how every block of stone bore witness to the passage of time, far older than any living thing treading upon it. These stones were companions. They had marked chapters of my life, chapters shared in hushed moments when, beneath the stars or the glow of early dawn, I'd trudge towards the fuller's shop with the promise of labor ahead. There was comfort in this solitude and familiarity, a meditation scripted long before by the tread of ancestors, lulling my mind into soft contemplation as I moved forward. The street stretched on, both infinite and intimate, interspersed with the silent song of dawn's awakening, as shadows retreated into corners and daylight began to stake its claim upon me. My cheek caught the gentle flirt of a breeze, a caress tempered with the promise of a warm day. It teased drying wool with a reminder of the labor awaiting me, the brilliant whites I would tend to, the sharp scent of ammonia that would soon fill my lungs. Walking this path was a rite, a passage from one world to another, a nod towards my obligations, tethered to memory and the certainty of the daily shop. Each morning this union was forged anew, this path my quiet custodian and harbinger of both labor and sustenance. With a final glance at the retreating shadows between the cobbles, I journeyed onward, each step another note in the harmonious refrain that was my life, each step timeless, each path unerring. Each step I take along the worn stone path is its own small eternity. At the beginning of each step, my heel kisses the ground with deliberate tenderness, like a whisper barely daring to be heard. The echoes of heel meeting stone ripple across the silent alley, a brief crescendo that fades almost as quickly as it came. There is a second when my full foot lays flat upon the surface, a fleeting stability in the mists of movement. A moment so brief it almost feels like nothing happened at all. From there, the ball of my foot assumes responsibility, rolling forward as if embracing the ancient path beneath me, absorbing its warmth and whispers from generations who walked before. With the insistent rhythm of this journey, my body moves in unconscious harmony. As I step, there's a slight shift in balance, a dance of muscle and sinew, directed by a rhythm more instinctual than thought out. An undercurrent of movement guides the slow descent of my opposite foot, preparing to continue the melody through another touch, another experience altogether unique and somehow the same. Breaths accompany these steps, swirling gently within my chest. In through the nose as my foot lays to rest, out through the mouth as the next is lifted. The action is so fluid, seamless like water flowing over pebbles, neither guiding nor resisting, but merely existing. The air, cool against my skin, tugs playfully at the hem of my tunic, a slight rustling sound chiming in sync with my passage, like soft applause. With each stride, the fabric clings for a moment, resisting the inevitability of gravity before letting go, swan-like in its descent. The muted shuffle seems to tether me more deeply to the earth, grounding each step as a reminder that even the air conspires to join this symphony of steps. Sounds reverberate off the surrounding buildings, creating a soft echo that stretches out only to be pulled back before too long. It's a reminder that these streets hold secrets, histories tread into their very stones. I am one in a long line of souls conversing with the ground beneath in the language of footsteps. As I continue my journey through the awakening streets, the familiar shops begin to emerge from their nightly slumber, each one a known companion on this daily pilgrimage. First comes Brutus the baker, his narrow workshop tucked beneath the leaning tenement, where even now the faint glow of his ovens casts dancing shadows on the worn threshold. The scent of fresh bread mingles with the cool morning air, a warm embrace that quickens my pace despite my measured stride. The wooden shutters of his shop creak open as I pass, revealing glimpses of flour-dusted surfaces and the rhythmic motion of kneading hands. Brutus himself appears briefly in the doorway, his round face brightened by the fire's glow, nodding in silent acknowledgment as our eyes meet. There's comfort in this wordless exchange, a recognition of fellow laborers beginning another day's devotion to their craft. Just beyond, the potter's workshop stands silent still, its wheel covered with a damp cloth, the day's clay waiting patiently for skilled hands to give it form. The shelves visible through the partially open door display yesterday's creations, amphorae and bowls in various stages of drying, their surfaces catching the first tentative rays of dawn light. I imagine the satisfying sensation of clay yielding beneath the potter's palms, the circular rhythm of the wheel spinning endlessly, like the days themselves. The metalsmith's forge remains cold, but the tools hang in precise order along the wall, each implement positioned with the care of one who understands that mastery lies in preparation. Hammers of different weights, tongs worn smooth by countless sessions at the anvil, files and chisels arranged like instruments awaiting their conductor. The anvil itself sits patient and immovable, its surface polished to a dark sheen by years of striking metal into submission. Past the blacksmith's domain, the weaver's loom catches my attention through the narrow window. Even in the dim light, I can make out the intricate pattern taking shape. Threads of deep red and golden yellow, creating what will surely become a senator's stola. The weaver, an elderly woman whose fingers move with the precision of decades, works by the light of an oil lamp, her concentration absolute. Each pass of the shuttle is deliberate, meditative, adding another line to the growing tapestry of cloth that will soon grace the shoulders of Rome's elite. The fishmonger's stall remains covered, its wooden boards protecting yesterday's catch that failed to sell. But the scent of brine and seaweed lingers in the air like a promise of the morning's fresh deliveries from Ostia. Soon carts will arrive bearing silver-scaled treasures from the Mediterranean, their eyes still clear with the memory of deep waters. I envision the careful arrangement of fish on beds of salt and seagrass, each one positioned to catch the light just so. As I round the gentle curve where the street widens slightly, the carpenter's workshop comes into view. Wood shavings carpet the ground before his door like aromatic snow, and the sweet scent of freshly cut pine fills my nostrils. Planks of varying lengths lean against the building's side, their surfaces smooth and pale, waiting to become tables, stools, or the frames of new dwellings that will house Rome's ever-growing population. Each shop window tells its own story. The glass blowers' delicate vessels catching and refracting the early light into rainbow fragments. The leather workers' hides hanging like ancient scrolls bearing the history of the animals that once wore them. The scribes' papyrus rolls stand in neat cylindrical arrangements, ready to preserve the words and deeds of citizens both humble and grand. The apothecary's herbs dangle from the rafters, visible through his doorway, their dried forms creating intricate shadows that dance with each breath of morning breeze. Lavender, rosemary, and thyme blend their fragrances into an aromatic symphony that speaks of healing and comfort. Ceramic jars line the shelves, each one carefully labeled with substances both common and exotic, remedies for every ailment that flesh might suffer. The familiar rhythm of my footsteps carries me past these silent sentinels of commerce, each one a testament to the intricate web of skill and dedication that sustains our great city. Soon they will all stir to life, their owners arriving to tend their crafts that have been passed down through generations like precious heirlooms. But for now, in these precious moments before dawn fully claims the streets, they rest in peaceful anticipation. The familiar outline of my workshop emerges from the morning shadows like an old friend returning from a long journey. The wooden facade, weathered by countless seasons, bears the honest scars of dedication, stains from dyes and cleaning agents that have seeped into its grain over years of faithful service. Above the entrance, the simple sign bearing my name and trade sways gently in the morning breeze, its carved letters worn smooth by time and weather, yet still proudly proclaiming the craft that has sustained my family for generations. My key, warm from its resting place against my body, slides into the lock with the familiar resistance of aged bronze. The mechanism turns with a satisfying click that echoes softly in the narrow street, a sound that marks the transition from wanderer to craftsman, from Marcus the man to Marcus the fuller. The heavy wooden door swings inward with a gentle creak, releasing the concentrated essence of my trade into the morning air, a complex bouquet of wool, lye, fulling earth, and the indefinable scent of honest labor. Stepping across the threshold feels like entering a sacred space, a temple dedicated to the ancient art of textile purification. The interior, still shrouded in the gentle darkness of night, holds the memory of yesterday's work suspended in its very atmosphere. My hands find the familiar texture of the rough wall beside the entrance, fingertips tracing the path to where I know the oil lamp waits on its iron bracket, ready to illuminate the space that will soon hum with activity. The flint strikes steel with practiced precision, sending sparks cascading into the darkness like tiny stars being born. The first flame catches, wavers, then grows stronger, pushing back the shadows and revealing the intimate geography of my workshop. Amphora line the walls like silent guardians, each one containing different solutions for different stages of the fulling process. Some filled with the sharp scented urine that serves as nature's cleanser, others holding mixtures of ash and lime that will transform dirty cloth into pristine textile. The great stone vats dominate the central space, their circular forms worn smooth by countless hands and feet. These are the heart of my operation, where the alchemy of cleaning takes place through the ancient dance of treading and beating. Even empty, they seem to hold the echo of rushing water and the rhythmic splash of feet working cloth in endless circular motion. Their surfaces, polished by years of use, catch and reflect the lamplight, creating patterns that shift and dance like water itself. In the corner, wooden paddles lean against the wall in neat formation, their handles worn to perfect smoothness by the constant grip of working hands. Each paddle bears its own character, some long and narrow for delicate fabrics, others broad and robust for the heavy wool of military cloaks and work tunics. The wood has absorbed years of moisture and cleaning solutions, giving it a unique patina that speaks of countless garments purified and returned to useful life. Above, wooden beams stretch across the ceiling, blackened by the smoke of oil lamps and the steam that rises from heated vats. From these beams hang ropes and pulleys, systems for lifting heavy wet cloth and moving the cumbersome equipment that makes the fuller's trade possible. Everything is positioned with the precision of long experience, each tool and container placed where it can be reached without thought, where muscle memory guides the hand even in darkness. The floor, worn smooth by the passage of countless feet, tells its own story in the patterns of stains and wear. Here, where I stand most often while supervising the washing, the stones are polished to a dark gleam. There, where apprentices once learned their trade under my guidance, lighter patches show where younger, less certain steps created different patterns of wear. Each mark, each variation in color and texture maps the history of labor and learning that has taken place within these walls. Against the far wall, shelves hold an array of clay vessels, each one labeled with symbols that identify its contents. Some contain the precious soap made from ash and animal fat. Others hold the mineral-rich earth that gives the fuller's trade its name. The organization is the result of years of refinement, each container positioned not just for convenience, but for the careful flow of work that transforms chaos into clean cloth. The true artistry of fulling begins not with the treading or the beating, but with the careful preparation of the solutions that will breathe new life into soiled cloth. Each vat requires its own precise mixture, its own balance of elements that will work in harmony to achieve the perfect cleaning result. I approach this task with the reverence of an alchemist, knowing that the success of all my subsequent work depends upon getting these fundamental preparations exactly right. The first vat, designated for the heaviest work, demands the most potent mixture. I begin by stirring the water with slow, deliberate motions, watching as small currents form and dissipate in the clear liquid. The wooden paddle cuts through the water with almost no resistance, creating gentle whirlpools that catch the morning light and throw it back in shifting patterns across the workshop walls. Into this vat goes the first measure of aged urine, collected over many days and stored in sealed amphora until it reaches the perfect state of decomposition. The ammonia content must be strong enough to break down the oils and proteins that bind dirt to fabric, yet not so harsh as to damage the delicate fibers themselves. I pour slowly, watching as the golden liquid mingles with the clear water, creating swirls of different densities that gradually blend into a uniform solution. Next comes the fuller's earth, that miraculous clay-like substance that gives our craft its very name. I measure it with the precision of a physician preparing medicine, knowing that the correct proportion is crucial to achieving the desired result. The earth feels cool and smooth between my fingers, its fine texture speaking of countless years of geological processes that have created this perfect cleaning agent. As I add the earth to the vat, it creates clouds of darker color that swirl through the liquid like smoke dispersing in still air. I stir gently, watching as the particles slowly dissolve and distribute themselves evenly throughout the solution. The water takes on a different character now, becoming slightly opaque, its surface tension altered by the addition of these absorbent particles that will draw grease and soil from fabric fibers with remarkable efficiency. The stirring motion becomes meditative, the wooden paddle moving in long, smooth arcs that create overlapping patterns of turbulence and calm. Each stroke distributes the cleaning agents more evenly, ensuring that every portion of the solution will be equally effective. The rhythm of stirring matches my breathing, creating a state of focused concentration that sharpens my awareness of the subtle changes taking place in the mixture. A small amount of ash from yesterday's cooking fire adds alkalinity to the solution, raising its pH to the level that will ensure thorough cleaning without harsh damage to the fabric. The ash dissolves quickly, disappearing into the mixture without trace, yet its chemical contribution will be felt in every garment that passes through this vat. This is the magic of fulling, the transformation of simple, everyday substances into powerful cleaning agents through knowledge and careful preparation. I test the mixture by dipping a small piece of soiled cloth into the solution, watching as the cleaning agents immediately begin their work. The fabric darkens as it absorbs the liquid, and I can see the dirt beginning to loosen from the fibers even in these first moments of contact. The test piece will remain in the vat throughout the preparation process, serving as a constant indicator of the solution's effectiveness and allowing me to make adjustments if necessary. The second vat requires a gentler approach, designed for the delicate fabrics that demand careful handling. Here, the soap becomes the primary cleaning agent, that precious substance created through the careful combination of animal fats and ash, processed through days of patient stirring and heating until it reaches the perfect consistency. I shave thin curls from the solid block with a sharp knife, each ribbon falling into the water like a pale flower petal settling on a still pond. The soap dissolves slowly, creating expanding clouds of oily richness that spread through the water in graceful spirals. Unlike the harsh efficiency of the urine-based solution, this mixture works through gentle persuasion, loosening soil through lubrication rather than chemical attack. I watch as the water takes on a different quality, becoming silky to the touch, its surface tension reduced in a way that will allow it to penetrate fabric fibers without forcing or tearing. The stirring motion for this vat must be correspondingly gentle, the paddle moving through the water with careful deliberation to avoid creating excessive foam. Too much agitation will waste the soap's cleansing power in empty bottles, while too little will leave the cleaning agents unevenly distributed. The perfect technique, learned through years of practice, creates just enough turbulence to blend the ingredients thoroughly, while preserving their effectiveness for the actual cleaning process. A small measure of wine vinegar joins the soap solution, its acidity providing a counterbalance that will help preserve the natural oils in silk and fine linen, while still achieving thorough cleaning. The vinegar adds its own sharp note to the mixture's scent, creating an aroma that speaks of preservation rather than destruction. This careful balance between cleansing and protection represents the highest skill of the fuller's art, knowing how to clean completely while respecting the inherent nature of each different fabric. I test this gentler solution with a piece of fine linen, watching as the liquid penetrates the weave without causing any visible stress to the fibers. The cloth absorbs the soapy water readily, but without the immediate, aggressive action that characterizes the heavier cleaning solution. This is exactly the response I seek. Thorough penetration combined with gentle treatment that will preserve the fabric's integrity throughout the cleaning process. The third vat serves as the rinsing station, but its preparation is no less important than the others. This water must be absolutely pure, free of any minerals or impurities that might leave deposits on the cleaned cloth. I pour the water slowly from the storage amphora, watching for any cloudiness or particles that might indicate contamination. The liquid flows clear and bright, catching the workshop's light like liquid crystal. To this pure water I add just a few drops of the finest vinegar, enough to neutralize any trace amounts of cleaning agents that might remain in the rinsed cloth, but not enough to impart any lasting odor or taste. The amount must be measured with extreme precision. Too little will leave alkaline residues that could damage fabric over time, while too much will leave the cloth smelling of vinegar rather than the clean neutrality that marks properly finished work. The final addition to the rinse water is a handful of dried lavender crushed between my palms to release its essential oils. This serves both practical and aesthetic purposes. The lavender's natural properties help preserve the cleaned cloth, while imparting the subtle fragrance that customers associate with proper textile care. The crushed flowers float on the water surface like tiny purple stars, their oils creating an almost invisible film that will transfer to the rinsed fabric in the gentlest possible way. Temperature plays a crucial role in the effectiveness of each solution, and I must now attend to this critical aspect of preparation. The heavy cleaning solution works best when warmed to match the temperature of a human body, hot enough to accelerate chemical reactions, but not so hot as to damage delicate fibers. I place heated stones, warmed by the morning fire, into the first vat, watching as they slide beneath the surface with gentle splashes that send ripples across the liquid. The stones, selected for their smooth surfaces and ability to retain heat, settle to the bottom of the vat, where they will slowly release their warmth into the surrounding solution. I watch the water around each stone shimmer slightly as warm currents rise and mix with the cooler liquid above. The process is gradual and even, avoiding the shock that sudden heating might cause to both the cleaning agents and any fabric that comes into contact with the solution. Testing the temperature requires the sensitivity that comes only from years of experience. I dip my finger into the water at various depths, feeling for the even warmth that indicates proper heating throughout the mixture. Too hot, and the cleaning agents may become too aggressive. Too cool, and their effectiveness will be diminished. The perfect temperature feels like a gentle embrace, warm enough to open fabric fibers, but mild enough to preserve their integrity. The soap solution requires a different approach, as excessive heat can cause the precious cleaning agent to separate and lose its effectiveness. Here, I add only slightly warmed water, creating a temperature that enhances the soap's ability to penetrate fabric while preserving its chemical stability. The warmth should feel pleasant to the touch, like the caress of spring sunshine, rather than the intensity of summer heat. I stir each heated solution carefully, ensuring that the warmth distributes evenly throughout the mixture, without creating currents so strong as to waste the cleaning agents in excessive agitation. The wooden paddles move through the warmed water with a different resistance, the liquid's viscosity subtly altered by the increase in temperature. Each stroke of the paddle sends tiny spirals of warmer and cooler water swirling together, creating the perfect blend of temperature and cleaning power. With the solutions prepared and tested, I turn my attention to the final arrangement of the workspace itself. Each vat must be positioned not just for individual effectiveness, but as part of the flowing sequence that will carry cloth through its complete transformation from soiled to pristine. The heavy cleaning station occupies the position closest to the morning light, where I can observe the cleaning action most clearly and make any necessary adjustments to technique or timing.
contamination.
As I complete these final preparations, I pause to reflect on this peaceful moment when all is ready, but the true work has not yet begun. The vats hold their solutions in patient readiness. The tools wait within easy reach, and the morning light streams through the windows with the promise of another day's successful labor. There is something deeply satisfying about this state of perfect preparation, when knowledge and materials combine to create the potential for transformation. Standing in the center of my prepared workshop, surrounded by the fruits of careful preparation, I feel the deep contentment that comes from honest work approaching readiness. The morning's preparation phase draws to its close, but the foundation it has created will support all the hours of active labor to come. Soon, the first cloth will enter the cleaning solution, and the ancient dance of soil and purification will begin once more. But for now, there is peace in the completeness of preparation, in the knowledge that every element stands ready to serve the ancient craft of fulling. The moment of transition has arrived, from preparation to practice, from potential to action. I lift the senator's toga from where it has been soaking, feeling its increased weight as the fabric has absorbed the cleaning solution completely. The wool hangs heavy in my hands, its fibers now saturated with the carefully prepared mixture that will soon work its transformative magic through the ancient rhythm of treading and beating. The first vat receives the toga with a gentle splash that sends ripples across the surface of the cleaning solution. I watch as the fabric settles into the liquid, spreading out like a pale shadow beneath the amber-tinted water. The cleaning agents immediately begin their work, but it is the physical action that will truly release the embedded soil and restore the garment to its original pristine state. Removing my sandals, I feel the cool stone of the workshop floor against my bare feet, a grounding sensation that connects me directly to the ancient craft I practice. The stone around the vat has been worn smooth by countless fullers who have stood in this same position, their feet polishing the surface through generations of dedicated labor. I step carefully into the vat, feeling the warm cleaning solution rise around my ankles, its temperature perfectly adjusted to enhance the cleaning process without shocking either fabric or flesh. The initial contact between my feet and the soaked fabric creates a unique sensation, soft resistance that yields to pressure, yet maintains its essential structure. This is the moment when the fuller's true skill begins to manifest, reading the fabric's response through the soles of feet that have learned to interpret texture, density, and cleanliness through touch alone. I begin with gentle pressure, allowing my weight to compress the fabric gradually, feeling for any areas where soil clings more stubbornly to the wool fibers. The rhythm of treading develops naturally, like a dance choreographed by centuries of tradition. Step, press, lift, step, each motion deliberate yet flowing, creating the mechanical action that will loosen dirt while preserving the fabric's integrity. My feet move in overlapping patterns across the spread fabric, ensuring that every section receives equal attention, that no corner escapes the thorough cleaning that transforms soiled cloth into pristine textile. As I work, the solution around my feet begins to take on a darker hue, evidence that the cleaning process has begun in earnest. Particles of soil and oils that have clung to the wool fibers for weeks gradually release their hold, dispersing into the surrounding liquid like clouds of sediment stirred from a river bottom. This visible sign of progress provides both satisfaction and guidance, confirming that the technique is effective, while indicating when the cleaning action has achieved its purpose. The physical sensation of fulling creates its own meditation. The rhythmic pressure of feet against fabric, the gentle resistance of wool compressed beneath the surface, the subtle changes in texture that indicate the gradual removal of embedded soil. My breathing settles into harmony with the stepping rhythm, each inhalation accompanying the lift of a foot, each exhalation coinciding with the downward pressure that drives cleaning agents deeper into the fabric's weave. Heat begins to build in my legs as the work continues, a pleasant warmth that speaks of muscles engaged in purposeful labor. The motion requires balance and control, enough pressure to achieve thorough cleaning, yet not so much as to damage delicate fibers or drive soil deeper into the weave. Years of practice have taught my feet to read the subtle signals that indicate perfect technique, the exact amount of force that maximizes cleaning while preserving the fabric's essential qualities. The workshop fills with the gentle sounds of active fulling, the soft splash of solution displaced by moving feet, the subtle squelch of fabric compressed beneath the surface, the rhythmic breathing that accompanies sustained physical work. These sounds create their own symphony, a counterpoint to the city's awakening that speaks of honest labor performed with skill and dedication. Occasionally, I pause to lift a section of the fabric, examining it in the morning light to assess the progress of cleaning. The wool shows visible improvement already, its natural color beginning to emerge from beneath the accumulated soil of daily wear. Stains that seemed permanent when dry now show signs of yielding to the patient application of time-tested techniques, their edges softening and their intensity diminishing under the careful assault of cleaning agents and mechanical action. The rhythm of treading becomes increasingly natural as the work progresses, my feet finding their own pattern of movement that maximizes efficiency while minimizing fatigue. Left foot forward, pressing gently but firmly into the fabric center, then shifting weight to the right foot as the left lifts and moves to a new position. The motion resembles a slow, deliberate dance, each step contributing to the overall choreography of cleaning that transforms soiled textile into pristine cloth. My hands join the work, reaching down to manipulate the fabric beneath the surface, ensuring that every fold receives attention and that no section remains neglected in the cleaning solution. The wool feels different under my fingers now, softer, more pliable, as the cleaning agents break down the accumulated oils and soils that had stiffened the fibers. I can feel the transformation taking place, the gradual restoration of the fabric's natural texture and drape through the careful application of ancient techniques. The hours settle into their deepest rhythm now, the work finding its own natural cadence that seems to flow without conscious direction. Step, press, lift, step. The pattern repeats with the reliability of waves upon a shore, each motion identical yet subtly different, contributing to the endless cycle of cleaning that transforms soiled cloth into pristine textile. My body has become an instrument tuned to this ancient frequency, every muscle and joint working in harmony toward the shared goal of restoration. The merchant's cloak now occupies the primary vat, its thick wool requiring the patient application of the same techniques that restored the senator's toga to brilliance. But where the senator's garment bore the refined stains of formal occasions, this cloak tells stories of harder use. Mud from country roads, smoke from inn hearths, the honest soil of commerce and travel. Each type of stain requires its own approach, its own combination of pressure and time, chemical action and mechanical manipulation. My feet read the fabric's response with the sensitivity of fingers reading script, interpreting texture changes that indicate the progress of cleaning. The wool begins stiff and resistant, its fibers locked together by embedded soil and oils, but gradually yields to the patient application of warmth, chemistry, and pressure. I feel the moment when resistance diminishes, when the fabric begins to move more freely beneath my feet, signaling that the cleaning agents have begun their transformative work. The rhythm of treading creates its own meditation, the repetitive motion freeing the mind from the need to direct every action while maintaining complete awareness of the work's progress. In this state, time seems to expand and contract simultaneously. Minutes pass like hours in their deliberate attention to detail, yet hours pass like minutes in the flowing continuity of focused labor. This is the deeper satisfaction of craftwork, where physical action becomes spiritual practice, where the boundaries between worker and work begin to dissolve. Steam rises continuously from the heated vats, creating an atmosphere of warm humidity that softens both fabric and flesh. The vapor carries with it the complex sense of the cleaning process, earthy notes from the fuller's clay, sharp ammonia from aged solutions, the gradually emerging freshness that indicates successful soil removal. These aromas create an olfactory map of progress, each breath confirming that the ancient alchemy of cleaning proceeds exactly as it should. The wooden paddles become extensions of my hands, their handles worn smooth by countless grips, their blades shaped by years of stirring and beating. I use them to guide fabric through the solutions, to create currents that ensure even distribution of cleaning agents, to apply the precise pressure needed for stubborn stains. Each paddle has its own character, its own balance and weight distribution that makes it perfect for specific tasks in the complex choreography of fulling. Between the primary cleaning and the gentle washing, a third vat now holds rinse water, its crystal clarity a stark contrast to the increasingly cloudy solutions where active cleaning takes place. This water waits patiently for its turn in the sequence, its purity preserved for the final stage when all traces of cleaning agents must be removed from the restored fabric. The progression from soil to cleanliness to purity mirrors the journey of the cloth itself, each stage necessary for complete transformation. The work creates its own music, the splash of water displaced by moving feet, the gentle slap of wet fabric against stone, the rhythmic breathing that accompanies sustained physical effort. These sounds blend into a symphony of labor that speaks of honest work performed with skill and dedication. The workshop fills with this music, creating an acoustic environment that seems to encourage the meditative state where true craftsmanship flourishes. My breathing has synchronized perfectly with the stepping rhythm, creating a state of focused calm where awareness expands to encompass every aspect of the work while remaining completely present to each individual motion. Inhale as the foot lifts, pause as weight shifts, exhale as pressure is applied. The pattern repeats endlessly, each cycle contributing to the gradual transformation taking place beneath the surface. This synchronization of breath and movement creates a trance-like focus that allows complete attention to the subtle changes that mark successful cleaning. In this deepened state of meditative labor, the boundaries between self and work begin to blur, creating a unity of purpose where the fuller becomes one with the ancient rhythm of cleaning. The stepping motion no longer requires conscious direction, having become as natural as the beating of the heart or the flow of blood through veins. My feet know exactly where to place themselves for maximum effectiveness. My hands automatically adjust pressure and angle without mental calculation. My entire being devoted to the sacred task of restoration. The merchant's cloak responds to this focused attention, its fibers gradually releasing their burden of accumulated soil and returning to their natural state of cleanliness and beauty. Each particle of dirt that separates from the wool represents not just successful cleaning, but successful preservation, the extension of the garment's useful life through careful application of time-tested techniques. The vat solutions themselves tell the story of progress through their changing appearance. What began as clear amber liquid now shows the cloudy evidence of successful soil removal, particles of dirt and oil suspended in the cleaning agents like sediment stirred from a river bottom. This visible confirmation of effectiveness provides both satisfaction and guidance, confirming that the technique is working while indicating when the cleaning action has achieved its purpose. The rhythm of work gradually slows as the sun reaches its zenith, casting shorter shadows through the workshop windows and signaling the natural pause that midday brings to all labor. My feet, which have moved in their steady treading pattern for hours, begin to feel the accumulated weights of sustained effort, and my hands, submerged repeatedly in cleaning solutions, show the telltale signs of a morning's dedicated work. The time has come for the brief respite that will restore both body and spirit for the afternoon's continued labor. I lift the current piece of fabric from its cleaning bath, feeling its weight as water and solution drain back into the vat. The linen sheet, now significantly cleaner than when it entered the workshop this morning, will rest in the rinse water while I take my own rest. The cleaning process continuing its gentle work even during my absence. There is something satisfying about this continuation of progress, even during pause. The way that time and chemistry collaborate to advance the work while the worker steps back to restore himself. The cleaning solutions can safely maintain their effectiveness for this brief interlude. Their temperature slowly declining, but their chemical activity continuing at a reduced rate. I add a final heated stone to the primary vat, watching it slip beneath the surface with a gentle splash that sends small ripples across the liquid. This simple action will maintain optimal conditions for another hour or more, ensuring that the work can resume without the need for extensive re-preparation. Moving toward the corner of the workshop where I keep provisions for such moments, I feel the change in my body as it transitions from active labor to rest. Muscles that have been tightly focused on specific tasks begin to relax. Breathing deepens and slows, and awareness expands from the concentrated focus of work to the broader appreciation of environment and sensation. This transition itself becomes part of the day's rhythm, a necessary counterpoint to the intensity of sustained craft work. The simple meal I've prepared waits in a cloth-wrapped bundle, its contents modest but sufficient for a working man's midday needs. Bread from yesterday's baking, a piece of cheese aged to perfect sharpness, a handful of olives that carry the taste of Mediterranean sunshine in their flesh. These foods represent not luxury, but sustenance, the fuel that will carry me through the afternoon's labor with strength and satisfaction. I unwrap the bundle with the same careful attention I bring to handling fine fabrics, each item revealing itself with the quiet ceremony that marks the transition from work to nourishment. The bread feels firm but yielding under my fingers, its crust still bearing the memory of the baker's oven. The cheese shows the pale gold color that speaks of proper aging, while the olives glisten with the oil that has been their natural protection since harvest. Water from the same source that supplies my cleaning vats provides refreshment, poured into a simple clay cup that has served this purpose for many years. The liquid is cool and clear, free of the mineral tastes that can spoil both drink and cleaning solutions. I sip it slowly, feeling its coolness travel through my body, and beginning the process of restoration that the brief meal will complete. The workshop continues its gentle activity around me as I eat, the cleaning solutions maintaining their slow work, the rinse water accepting the gradual dissolution of soap and soil from the resting fabrics. Steam still rises from the heated vats, though more gently now, creating the warm, humid atmosphere that has become the signature of a working fuller's shop. Even in rest, I remain connected to the work, monitoring its progress through peripheral awareness while focusing primarily on the restoration of my own energy and attention. The brief respite has served its purpose, allowing the restoration of energy and the renewal of perspective that will sustain the afternoon's work. My breathing has deepened and slowed, muscles have relaxed from their focused tension, and awareness has expanded from the concentrated attention of active labor to the broader appreciation of environment and purpose. This natural cycle of effort and recovery mirrors the larger rhythms that govern all productive work, the understanding that sustainable labor requires periods of rest and renewal. As the meal concludes, I begin the gentle transition back toward active work, finishing the last of the bread and water while mentally reviewing the tasks that await. The merchant's cloak needs its final rinse. The household linens require assessment and possible advancement to the next cleaning stage, and new garments wait to begin their journey through the restoration process. Each task presents its own challenges and rewards, its own opportunities for the application of skill and the achievement of satisfaction. The afternoon sun has begun its slow descent toward the western horizon, though many hours of productive daylight remain. The changing angle of illumination will create new patterns of light and shadow in the workshop, highlighting different aspects of the work and providing fresh perspectives on familiar processes. This natural progression of the day provides its own rhythm, a larger pattern within which the detailed work of fulling finds its place. Standing slowly, I feel the pleasant sensation of muscles preparing to resume their focused work, the body's natural eagerness to return to productive activity after appropriate rest. The clay cup returns to its place, the cloth that wrapped the meal is folded and stored, and the simple implements of nourishment give way once again to the tools of trade. This transition marks not just the end of rest, but the beginning of renewed purpose. The afternoon's work approached with energy restored and spirit refreshed by the brief but essential pause for nourishment and reflection. The afternoon settles into its deeper rhythm as the work continues, my body moving through the familiar motions with the steady persistence that marks the final hours of intensive labor. The stepping pattern has become second nature, requiring no conscious direction. Yet the accumulated weight of the day's effort begins to make itself known through subtle changes in posture and breathing. This is the time when true craftsmanship reveals itself, not in the fresh energy of morning, but in the sustained application of skill when the body begins to tire. The merchant's cloak receives its final treatment, emerging from the rinse water restored to a cleanliness that reveals its original quality. I lift it carefully, feeling its weight as clean water drains away, leaving behind fibers that have been purged of soil and restored to their natural texture. The transformation is complete. Another garment returned to useful service through the patient application of ancient techniques. My feet, which have carried me through hours of treading, begin to show the effects of sustained effort. The stone floor, worn smooth by generations of fullers, provides steady support, but cannot eliminate the gradual fatigue that comes from repeated motion. I adjust my stance slightly, shifting weight from one foot to the other, allowing different muscle groups to bear the load while maintaining the essential rhythm of the work. The afternoon light streams through the workshop windows at a lower angle now, creating longer shadows that mark the day's progression toward evening. Steam continues to rise from the heated vats, though more gently than before, as the solutions gradually cool despite the addition of heated stones. These natural changes in temperature and illumination provide the broader context within which the detailed work of fulling continues, reminding me that even the most focused labor remains part of larger cycles of time and season. The household linens progress through their cleaning stages with the steady reliability that characterizes well-managed craftwork. Each piece tells its own story through stain patterns and wear marks. Sheets bearing the honest soil of nightly rest. Towels marked by years of faithful service. Simple garments stained by the everyday business of domestic life. These items require the same careful attention as the senator's fine toga, their humble nature making them no less deserving of skilled treatment. Water flows continuously through the workshop, fresh supplies entering while dirty water departs, maintaining the delicate balance that keeps the cleaning process effective throughout these extended sessions. I monitor these flows with the peripheral awareness that has become second nature, adjusting rates and temperatures while maintaining focus on the primary work. This management of resources represents one of the more subtle aspects of the fuller's craft, requiring constant attention to multiple variables while preserving the meditative rhythm of the work itself. The cleaning solutions have evolved throughout the day, their composition changing as fabrics release accumulated soil into the mixing baths. What began as carefully prepared chemical solutions now show the cloudy evidence of successful cleaning, visible proof that the ancient alchemy continues to work its transformative magic. These solutions will need complete renewal tomorrow, but their current state speaks eloquently of today's productive labor. My breathing has deepened as the work continues, each inhalation drawing in the warm, humid air of the workshop, each exhalation releasing the tension that accumulates during sustained physical effort. The rhythm matches the stepping motion, creating a synchronization between breath and movement that helps sustain energy through the afternoon's demands. This natural harmony between different bodily functions represents one of the deeper satisfactions of craftwork, the way that repetitive motion can become a form of moving meditation. The final garments of the day await their turn in the cleaning sequence, a modest collection that will complete the day's work and provide the satisfaction of tasks fully accomplished. Each presents its own challenges and rewards, its own opportunities for the application of skill and the achievement of successful restoration. In addressing these final pieces, I draw upon all the morning's experience while anticipating the evening's well-earned rest. The shadows lengthen across the workshop floor as the day's work draws toward its natural conclusion, marking the transition from active labor to the gentle ritual of closing that will prepare the space for tomorrow's efforts. I begin the familiar sequence of tasks that will secure the workshop and preserve the fruits of the day's labor. Each action performed with the same careful attention I bring to the cleaning work itself. The final garments hang now in the drying area, their restoration complete, their fibers clean and renewed through the patient application of ancient techniques. The senator's toga, the merchant's cloak, the household linens, all bear witness to the effectiveness of skill properly applied. Tomorrow their owners will collect them, restored to usefulness and beauty, ready to continue their service in the complex dance of Roman society. The cleaning vats require careful attention as the day ends, their solutions drained and the stone surfaces cleaned of any residue that might contaminate tomorrow's fresh preparations. I scrub each vat with the same thoroughness I apply to fabric cleaning, ensuring that no trace of today's soil remains to compromise future work. The water runs clear as it carries away the evidence of successful labor, leaving behind surfaces ready for tomorrow's careful preparations. The wooden paddles receive their own cleaning and inspection, each one examined for signs of wear or damage that might affect its performance. The handles show the smooth polish that comes from countless hours of skilled use, while the blades display the honest wear that speaks of tools properly employed in their intended service. These faithful instruments are arranged in their designated places, ready to serve again when the next day's work begins. The amphora containing cleaning agents are sealed and stored according to their nature and volatility. The earthen containers of fuller's clay and other materials are secured against contamination. Each substance represents accumulated knowledge and careful preparation, deserving of the same respectful treatment I give to the finest fabrics. The fire that has heated stones throughout the day is allowed to burn low, its coals banked for easy rekindling tomorrow morning. The workshop fills with the gentle warmth of dying flames, creating an atmosphere of peaceful conclusion that marks the successful completion of another day's dedicated work. This fire has been my constant companion throughout the day, providing the heat necessary for effective cleaning, while creating the warm, humid environment that encourages both fabric transformation and human meditation. Water barrels are checked and refilled as necessary, ensuring that tomorrow's work can begin without delay. The clear liquid catches the last light from the windows, promising another day of successful cleaning when properly combined with skill and dedication. Fresh water is the foundation of all fulling work, and securing an adequate supply represents one of the final responsibilities of each working day. The workshop itself is swept clean of the day's accumulated debris, the floor restored to the order that reflects proper craft practice. Each tool returns to its designated place. Each container finds its proper position. Every surface is left clean and ready for tomorrow's renewed activity. This physical organization mirrors the mental organization that allows complex work to proceed smoothly, creating an environment where skill can flourish and tradition can continue. The oil lamps that have provided supplemental illumination throughout the day are extinguished one by one, their flames offering a final farewell to the day's accomplishments. The workshop returns gradually to the gentle darkness that will preserve its readiness through the night hours. In this quiet conclusion lies the promise of renewal, the assurance that tomorrow will bring fresh opportunities for the application of ancient wisdom to the eternal human need for cleanliness and restoration. As I prepare to secure the workshop and return home, I feel the deep satisfaction that comes from honest work well completed, from traditions honored and skills properly applied. The day has been good. The heavy wooden door of the workshop closes behind me with the satisfying finality that marks the end of a day's productive labor. The bronze key turning in its ancient lock with the same reliable precision it has shown for countless evenings before this one. The street outside has taken on the golden quality of late afternoon light, longer shadows painting familiar stones with new patterns of illumination that speak of day's gradual transition toward the peaceful embrace of evening. My feet find their homeward rhythm with the same natural ease they displayed during the morning's journey to work. But now the stepping pattern carries a different quality, the measured pace of satisfied completion rather than anticipatory preparation. The cobblestones beneath my sandals seem to welcome this familiar progression, worn smooth by generations of workers making this same transition from labor to rest, from public service to private restoration. The streets of Rome are beginning their own evening transformation, the urgent activity of midday commerce giving way to the gentler rhythms of domestic life. Shopkeepers secure their establishments, families gather for evening meals, and the great city settles into the contemplative mood that marks the day's peaceful conclusion. I am part of this larger pattern, one worker among many returning home after honest labor, carrying with me the quiet satisfaction of tasks well completed and traditions properly honored. The familiar landmarks of my route take on new meaning in the evening light. The baker's shop, where tomorrow's bread already rises in patient preparation. The fountain, where neighbors gather to share the day's final water and casual conversation. The narrow passages, where shadows create cool refuges from the day's accumulated heat. Each site connects me to the larger community of which I am part, the intricate web of relationships and dependencies that sustain our complex urban civilization. My body carries the pleasant fatigue that comes from sustained productive effort, muscles that have worked hard but not beyond their capacity, hands that show the honest marks of skilled labor, feet that have maintained their steady rhythm through hours of dedicated treading. This physical tiredness speaks not of exhaustion, but of accomplishment, the natural result of energy properly expended in service of worthy goals. The evening air carries different scents than the morning's freshness, cooking fires beginning to release the aromas of family meals, the lingering warmth of sun-heated stone, the subtle fragrances of herbs and flowers that mark private gardens and public spaces. These olfactory signals speak of home and rest, of the domestic tranquility that awaits after the day's public service, of the restoration that will prepare body and spirit for tomorrow's renewed activity. As I walk the familiar path homeward, my mind naturally reviews the day's accomplishments and challenges. Each garment successfully cleaned, each problem overcome through the application of skill and patience, each moment when ancient techniques proved once again their effectiveness in meeting human needs. This mental review becomes its own form of satisfaction, confirming that the day has been well spent and useful purpose has been served. The approaching threshold of my home appears ahead, its simple doorway promising the sanctuary where private rest will restore what public labor has temporarily depleted. The key to my own door waits warm against my body, ready to open the space where Marcus the Fuller yields to Marcus the Man, where professional skill gives way to personal restoration. In this daily transition from work to rest lies one of life's essential rhythms, the cycle of effort and recovery that sustains both individual well-being and collective prosperity. Evening approaches with its promise of rest and renewal, carrying me home on feet that have served faithfully through another day of honest labor. Tomorrow will bring fresh opportunities for the application of ancient wisdom, but tonight belongs to the peaceful restoration that makes all work possible. The day has been good, and home awaits. As Marcus reaches his doorway, and our journey through his day draws to its gentle close, we too must prepare for our own peaceful rest. We have walked beside this humble Fuller through every moment of his day, from the first stirrings of dawn consciousness to the satisfied return home after honest labor completed. In Marcus's story, we find the timeless rhythms that connect all human experience, the cycle of rest and work, the satisfaction of skill properly applied, the quiet dignity of traditions maintained and passed forward. His ancient world speaks to our modern hearts in the universal language of dedication, craftsmanship, and the daily renewal that makes life meaningful. Thank you for sharing this tranquil journey through Roman life. If these gentle stories have brought you peace, please subscribe to continue our explorations of history's quieter moments. Share these calming tales with others seeking restful sleep, and comment with your thoughts on the meditative rhythms we've discovered together. Your presence makes these ancient streets feel alive once more.